I am Jenna Bosonko, and this is QTV News, coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main local and sports news headlines. A former senior state counsel at the Attorney General's chambers, Patrick Gomez, on Monday appeared before the Truth Commission to testify on the work of legal practitioners in the Gambia during the Jammeh regime. The media fraternity in the Gambia, like the rest of the world, commemorated World Press Freedom Day today. However, the Gambia Press Union had decided to adopt a local, not the global team. Community radio journalists began 5 days training on Monday on climate change and early warning systems to enhance communities' preparedness for disasters. In international news, the war of words between Rwanda and Uganda appears to be taking a serious tone if comments made by Rwanda's President Kagame are anything to go by. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us. Now, a former senior state counsel at the Attorney General's chambers, Patrick Gomez, on Monday appeared before the Truth Commission to testify on the work of legal practitioners in the Gambia during the Jammeh regime. Babakar C has the rest of that.
Patrick Gomez was helping the TRRC, who are investigating the judiciary system during the former regime, and how Jammeh was making the work of the justice system difficult with interferences and threats. The witness told the commission that working under the former regime was risky as a legal practitioner.
Yes, we were living at a time wherein the environment at the judiciary was not really friendly. By that I mean there was no sort of independence of the judiciary. And in fact, this independence was threatened both externally and internally. Externally by the executive or executive organs. And internally by the administrators we had at the time. Who would want to believe that they had to do the bidding of the president or the executive to clinch onto their offices.
He recalled a case he was presiding over when soldiers at a checkpoint opened fire on a taxi driver who had refused to stop, leading to the death of a woman. He received a letter from State House ordering the judge to not adjourn the case, but instead to pass judgment and sentence the accused.
I thought about the information. Then I said to myself that I think this is a time for me to just make sure I do the right thing.
The witness said he passed judgment and did not find the accused guilty, as the death of the woman in the taxi was caused by the soldiers who shot at the vehicle. He therefore discharged the accused, the taxi driver, which did not go down well with Yahya Jammeh, and he was ordered to immediately report to the Chief Justice.
So I went inside the office and I found the CJA sitting and together with the JS and the Master of the High Court. He had newspapers from different outlets, so he was not pleased at all. So he started telling me that look what you have done. See the headlines in all these newspapers, and that as far as he's concerned, the judgment is totally wrong. How can I acquit the driver in that circumstance? When he could have only stopped and he failed to stop. And therefore he had to answer calls from above. And that I had put him in a very funny situation.
The witness said the Chief Justice at the time, Fagbele, used derogatory language against him, telling him he didn't understand what the law says about negligence. However, Gomez says he remained quiet and never said a word. The witness said this led to him being transferred to be a regional judge, traveling up countries to hear cases. He confirmed that under the leadership of Chief Justice Fagbele, the judiciary was not independent, as Fagbele and Jammeh would frequently interfere in cases, leading to the arrest and detention of some magistrates. The witness also said the office of the CJ and the president were not the only ones to interfere in cases, as the NIA also did the same thing. He recalled a time when he received a call from an NIA officer who was ordered by his boss to arrest him because of a ruling he made. Babukar C, QTV News.
The media fraternity in the Gambia, like the rest of the world, commemorated World Press Freedom Day today. Coinciding with the event is the publishing of Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index, showing the Gambia's press freedom world ranking improving from 87th to 85th position. Mohamed Lamin Choi has the rest of that.
Freedom to gather, write and report information for the public good is celebrated globally today. The free flow of information from the media for the public has been a fundamental pillar of every meaningful democracy, given the watchdog role of the press in society that earns it the title the Fourth Estate. The Gambia Press Union is commemorating World Press Freedom Day by adopting a local theme. Commemorating press freedom has taken a form of self-assessment for the Gambia, a country seeking a democratic path. In terms of press freedom, there are signs of an improving record, moving the country from a world ranking of 145th in 2016, putting among the worst, to 85th in 2021, thanks to the downfall of a 22-year-long dictatorship and authoritarian rule in the country. However, despite the improvement in press freedoms, the same cannot be said about the long-awaited media reforms. The president of the Gambia Press Union, Sharif Bojang Jr., says that despite the gains on press freedom record, the country is still stuck in a problematic situation, marked by unfriendly environment and legislations against the media.
A number of bills seeking to repeal of the laws have been in Parliament, gathering dust, while no concrete steps have been taken by the government towards repealing or amending the rest of the free press laws.
The Minister of Information, Ibrahim Asila, speaks of government's commitment to press freedom in the Gambia and its reform agenda against the repressive media laws. The minister tells QTV that in consultation of the Gambia Press Union, the repressive media laws have been reviewed, bills introduced to the National Assembly, and currently waiting for legislative approval for a successful and final reform process.
In good faith, the executive actually came up with a bill. In fact, came up with several bills, to ensure that, we remove from our statute books all the bad media laws that we recognize are not actually acceptable in a democracy.
The GP president reminds government of its role to protect journalists and tax issues with recent comments from politicians, the president in particular.
And the recent political rhetoric from the State House about the media is so disturbing. The president's accusation of journalists of biased and unfavorable coverage is a stark reminder of the Jammeh government how Jammeh government gradually started its onslaught against the media.
This year's theme for World Press Freedom is information as a public good, and the national theme, safety of journalists imperative for credible elections. Ahead of the 2021 elections, Gambian journalists are worried about the political atmosphere, hence the adoption of a local, not global theme for this year's commemoration, calling for their safety and protection.
This coming election, and we've seen all these assaults are coming from politicians and other people. So, and this election it will be a very tough one indeed. So we need gadgets actually that will save journalists during coverages.
Freedom of the press in a democracy promotes accountability, transparency and probity. But for this to happen, the public and the state have a legal and moral obligation to provide safe and open space for journalists for the development of society. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Let's continue telling the stories as they are. Now, community radio journalists began 5 days training on Monday on climate change and early warning systems to enhance communities' preparedness for disasters, including before and after floods. Lolly M. Kamara has the rest of that.
The training brought together 9 community radio broadcasters from various regions across the country. Organized by the Network of Community Radios The Gambia in partnership with Panos Institute for West Africa and UNESCO Regional Office in Dakar. The training is within the project Use of Drones and Early Warning System for Disaster Management Before and After Floods in the Gambia. Yusufa Bojang, the president of the Network of Community Radios The Gambia, explains the reason for the training.
To build the capacity of community radio broadcasters in the length and breadth of this country on the early warning system, disaster management and flooding, because in the Gambia we know there are communities that are prone to settle into prone areas, and community radios play a vital role in disseminating information, and also they will help them to better prepare and know where to settle.
Ibrahim Silla, the Minister of Information, Communication and Infrastructure, said the training has come as the rainy season is fast approaching and the role of community radios is critical to help communities get the right information on climate variations relating to rainfall patterns.
Programs in local languages of target communities where they are established is critical in helping the government realize its set goals in the National Development Plan, but also helping farmers and communities to enhance access to information on related climate change issues.
The Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Sana Dahaba, and Biram Fai, a representative from the Panos Institute for West Africa, both say implementing developmental projects through capacity building, targeting media practitioners in disseminating information on climate change is commendable.
Certainly, the envisaged outcome is to enhance the capacity of the local structures, especially in expanding disaster risk reduction in the grassroots to minimize coordination concern and enhance greater community participation among us.
Be able to report better on flood risk and disaster prevention in the Gambia in this context of climate change.
Fatoumata K. Jabi from Basse Community Radio said she is hopeful that she will be able to inform her community using the knowledge she gained during the training. The use of drones and early warning systems for pre- and post-floods disaster is expected to plug the gap in flood management and to strengthen the early warning systems for floods across the Gambia. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
From that story by Lolly M. Kamara on disaster preparedness, we will take a short commercial break. Still to come, we have local and international news. Do stay tuned.
Ramadan Mubarak from Ajib Bank Limited. This Ramadan, when you open a savings account with Ajib Bank Limited, you will receive a free passbook. And when you open a current or salary account with the bank, you will receive a checkbook for free. Ajib Bank Limited is the only Islamic bank in the Gambia, and we share profits with our clients. So why wait? Visit any Ajib Bank Limited branch today and open your savings account, current or salary account, and enjoy the halal beauty of Islamic banking in line with the Sharia. Ajib Bank Limited, your investment partner.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Jenna Bosonko. Continuing the theme of armed forces promotions, 86 soldiers of 3 infantry battalion, were on Thursday decorated to various ranks at a ceremony held at Basse Army Barracks. Alaji A.F. Jallo has the rest of that.
The officers were promoted to the ranks of Lance Corporal, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant and Warrant Officer 2. At this ceremony, the Chief Guest of Honor, Brigadier General Usman Gomez, Commander of the Gambia National Army, said, despite the numerous challenges the Army is facing, the GNA is undergoing gradual transformation. Adding that, the ceremony is historic as it marks an important point in a soldier's career.
On promotion to a higher rank, the soldier gains increased privileges and is subjected to fair restriction, but also assumes more responsibilities. In short, promotion in the military is based on merit, hard work, discipline, commitment, and dedication to duties. Promotion in the military may be seen as elevating an individual soldier or a group of various ranks, but it actually entails more than mere elevation. Soldiers are expected to perform all assigned and even imply tasks to the best of their abilities and in line with the best practice of military. It is based on this assessment evaluation that recommendations are made and eligible candidates capabilities are challenged with promotion to a new rank. Therefore, in a nutshell, promoted soldiers are in fact expected to measure up to the demands of their new ranks. As the saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected.
The CEO of the 3 Infantry Battalion in Basis said the day is significant and brings added responsibility to their assigned functions and security mandate.
The overall significance of this special day in the history of our battalion's life, time, and existence from its inception herald a new posture and added responsibility in our assigned functions and the security mandates, which I am with the conviction that it will stimulate the passion and the vigor in the mindset of the serving troops to work harder and excel in their military career. As the opportunities are accorded to all in their endeavors to progress in their responsibility in colors.
Marsal, newly promoted to Warrant Officer 2, gave the vote of thanks and said additional ranks goes with additional responsibility.
Based on our collective hard work, to those promoted, be informed that additional rank comes with additional responsibilities. But more or less, the horns are never too heavy for the bull that must carry them. And that kola nuts last longer in the mouths of those who value them.
The promotion recognizes the hard work, dedication, commitment, and loyalty of GAF personnels. The event was graced by senior officers, members of the sister security services, family, and friends of the promoted soldiers. For QTV News, I am Alaji F. Jallo.
Additional rank comes with additional responsibility. Now let's take a look at stories beyond our borders. After years of minor conflicts and threats between Rwanda and Uganda, President Paul Kagame has announced that Rwanda will build a strong security defense to protect the country from Uganda's threat. In the story by Ajibintu Drame.
It has been a long smoldering vendetta between Uganda and Rwanda as tension, threats of armed invasion and sovereignty of border conflicts have risen since March 2019, creating the prospect of serious conflicts between the two states. Since then, former comrades in arms, Presidents Paul Kagame and Yoweri Museveni, have been at loggerheads. On the 1st of May, President Kagame used the occasion of his party's convention to address the matter. Speaking at the Rwandan Patriotic Front meeting in Kigali, Kagame is quoted saying, "In conclusion about this matter, I will touch my house properly to protect me from the rain." Continuing, he further emphasized the importance of the situation, saying, and I quote, "Let us build with a foundation, a strong house with a solid roof, so that when it rains while we are sleeping, our house will not leak." End of quote. The comments came as a surprise to many, including diplomats who were present and who thought the tension had been resolved between the two states. The two states' armies have been massing along their border after Uganda protested that there had been an incursion by Rwanda forces into their territory, leading to the killing of 2 civilians in the border town of Rukiga. However, Rwanda countered the claim, proclaiming that they were pursuing a group of smugglers that had illegally crossed over to its side of the border. Over the years, Rwandan and Ugandan presidents have been involved in exchanges of threats. Both leaders used to have a smooth relationship in the 1980s, as they shared military expertise and diplomatic ties that form a friendship that will revive the country's histories. President Kagame had been part of the rebel force that helped Museveni seize power in Uganda. The two leaders also graduated at the same prestigious high school, Natari High School, where most of the current Ugandan and Rwandan government and military officials were pupils. Kagame served for 7 years as Uganda's Deputy Director of Military Intelligence and helped give Museveni the edge in defeating numerous insurgencies. Addressing party delegates on Sunday, President Kagame went on to say, and I quote, "What Rwanda wants is peace and the freedom to carry forward the business of transforming our country. We do not want to stand in anyone's way, nor do we want anyone to stand in our way." End of quote. For now, the exchanges have been restricted to verbal rather than armed jousting. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Now let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Brikama United begin their GFF First Division League second half of the season with a narrow 1-0 victory against BK Milan on Friday. Our reporter Momodu Gajaga was at this report.
The Sateba boys from Brikama showed strength in possession early on with a fine Ibukante move before Seni Sambo hit the bar with a thunderous shot. Despite dominating possession, it was not until the 75th minute when midfielder Lamin Balajo drove in the box, backheeled it for the incoming Domingo Mane to set up Ibukante, who tapped in what would become the winning goal. BK Milan had their moments in the first half through their star player Buba Jammeh with some dazzling runs and flashing shots. Their team got a boost when Gambia under-20 midfield sensation Wally Fofana came on in the second half. His presence was loved by the crowd, prompting wild applause whenever he had the ball. Being well aware of his influence, Brikama United matched and nullified his threat with timely interceptions. Reacting to the win, Brikama United coach Modula Minyasi says winning consistently is hugely important for his side.
We said it, we won 3 matches in a row, and then we want to make it 4 to be the most consistent team. So, I mean, if you want to win the league or if you want to compete, you must be consistent. And I think winning 4 matches in a row is a little bit of consistency. So this is what we are working on. And the next match is also another tough game. So anyway, I think we are doing fine.
BK Milan coach Bafode Bojang expresses frustration over the defeat to Brikama United.
Yeah, I think I can say the concentration and when Wally came in the second half. You know, in the first half, we were playing as a team. We were controlling the game, you know, keeping the ball, making some good passes, you know, behind the defense. But when Wally came, so, you know, he's a good player, but that, you know, he have to improve on that to release the ball, because if he released the balls today, we could have scored 2 to 3 goals.
Friday's other game produced class and beautiful goals, as Armed Forces drew 2-2 with Hawks, with the soldiers' side taking the lead twice before being pegged back. At the end of the night, the win sees Brikama United in 3rd place, level on points with 2nd place Armed Forces, with both teams 9 points adrift of leaders' fortune. BK Milan remain one of the 3 teams on 12 points, 3 points above the last placed Telinde United, while the single point gained by Hawks sees them in 8th place. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
Seems that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. But before we take a leave, let's take a look at our main stories. A former senior state counsel at the Attorney General's chambers, Patrick Gomez, on Monday appeared before the Truth Commission to testify on the work of legal practitioners in the Gambia during the Jammeh regime. The media fraternity in the Gambia, like the rest of the world, commemorated World Press Freedom Day. However, the Gambia Press Union has decided to adopt a local, not the global theme. Community radio journalists began 5 days training on Monday on climate change and early warning systems to enhance communities' preparedness for disasters. In international news, the war of words between Rwanda and Uganda appears to be taking a serious turn if comments made by Rwanda's President Paul Kagame are anything to go by. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Thanks for watching and have a great week ahead.